Welcome to Truth and Transcendence. You can find all our other episodes on truthandtranscendence.com. Today, I'm delighted to welcome special guest Becca Eve Young, who's had an amazing journey. And today, we're going to start the conversation by talking about you are magic. That means you, the listener, and me and Becca and everybody. So that's a beautiful thing to talk about. Becca is a former corporate strategist turned soulful storyteller, and she's devoted to the art of becoming. After a plot twist, or five, Becca walked away from the societal shoulds to reclaim her voice. Her work lives at the raw intersections of growth, healing, and reinvention, delivered with humor, heart, and a spiritual spark. All of which is in her debut book, It's Going to Get Messy, which you can see behind me if you're watching on video. This book is an unfiltered, true story of heartbreak, healing, and reinvention. And it really is, with a profound supernatural twist. The heart of Becca's story is rooted in ditching the societal script and becoming your most soulful, authentic self. So you can see why I wanted Becca on the show. Becca can be found at beccaeveyoung.com. So, Becca, without any further ado, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so pleased to be here, and I've loved connecting with you. So
Beautiful, me
yeah.
too. And I just
Yeah.
really respect the journey that you've had, both the actual journey and then the journey of writing the book. And you were saying, and now the journey of doing the audio, which nobody told you means you experience it all over again. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
All the layers of the onion, yeah.
exactly. So
Mm.
this you are magic notion, which anyone who reads your book will understand, how you're so connected to that. But I'm not going to tell everyone to go and read the book and then come back and listen. So listen now, read the book later, everybody. So this notion of you are magic, can you remember when you first really connected with that in your life?
Yeah. Um, well, and the human journey that's always a process. But I don't think I fully connected to that until, and sorry to always reference the book, but towards the end of the book, right? So there's very much an arc and a story to it, but it wasn't until, we'll say, the integration, like from that profound supernatural experience that I had with my dad. It wasn't until the silent retreat and sitting with myself and silence and um really going deep within, and it was just a signal. It was when we answer that question, like, who am I? Who are we? It just was, it was a deep, visceral feeling of just love, and that each and every single one of us are pure magic, are absolute pure magic.
Oh, beautiful. And so how long ago was that now?
Yeah, so the book is like 2019 to 2022. So yeah, oh my gosh, 4 years ago is like kind of where the end of the book happened. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And,
yeah. So
and has that realization or epiphany, what you might want to call it,
yeah,
how has that made a difference to you in your life since realizing that?
yeah. It's it's been a huge gift, just because, now don't get me wrong, we're in a dense experience, and we forget, and that's the nature of, in my belief of we forget that we are in this beautiful dream, right? And so to come back to that, to come back to that knowing, to come back to that presence, to come back to that realization, sometimes the screaming at the people in front of you being an idiot in traffic, or, oh, I didn't respond to that email, or oh, this person crossed me, or whatever those things might be. You're just like, it's just a gift to remember, okay, like, it's it's a levity pill, of just like we can be a little bit less serious. We can be a little bit more playful. We can be more present. And it is definitely a daily practice though of coming back to that, of remembering, of dropping into that presence. And it's a lifelong multi-timeline journey.
Beautiful. You know, and,
Yeah.
and and some people say that's one of the reasons that we do incarnate as a human, don't they? To
Yeah.
actually keep coming back to that.
Yeah. I,
Y-
I, I I believe that. Yeah, is to just, especially, in many of us feel like in this time, in this particular incarnation, that so many of us are remembering and waking up to that, and um, remembering what comes before and after this, And so that's that spark of magic that so many people are like, yeah, that's why we're here, not only to play and experience, um, as eternal beings, but also to remember. Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you to go back a little bit to talk about that amazing spiritual experience you had with your father. Um, is that something it's possible to share about, in a way that perhaps people can get some sort of sense of what happened, what that felt like, what was going on there?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, because as a new author, you always struggle like, is that a spoiler alert? Am I giving away, too much? But I have found that I love talking about it, and that's a whole different energy than the story that comes in the book, the level of depth to that. And so, um, yeah, so that was back in 2020, and my father had been declining for a while from an autoimmune disease, and that's where I had found myself, everything falling apart, the typical, the laid off abroad during a global pandemic, my going through a 15-year relationship ending in a divorce, losing a dear friend to suicide, and then you get laid off and you're in the desert, and then you get the call that your dad has passed away, and you're just like, like when life throws you all those punches all at once. And so yeah, I was able to travel back. I had been in Mexico. I was able to travel back for the funeral, and came back to Mexico, and just was in that profound grief period. And a dear friend of mine asked that I, join her just for a sound healing ceremony, on the beach in Mexico, which is just, listening to music and allowing that frequency to um, enter your body and provide healing and relaxation and all of that. And so I reluctantly went, and I just remember, being under the full moon, and it was exactly 30 days because he had passed on the full moon 30 days before, and I had a feeling that he was um, going those 30 days before. I actually said, when you're ready to go, go. And the next morning, my mom called, and so that he had passed. And so it's a full 30 days later, and I was under the full moon, and I was just like, "Dad." I was like, I just with my entire it still gets me. With my entire being, I was like, "If you are out there, I'm like, show me." And it was like a universal phone call. It was just every ounce of my heart and soul. Um, and yeah, he came to me on the beach. My Just was breathing in, and all of a sudden I felt a hand across my forehead, brush my hair and kind of tuck it. And I was about to open my eyes and say, "Why is the facilitator touching me right now?" Like, what's happening? And then I felt it again, and it was like like there was no mistaking that hand. There was no mistaking that energy. I didn't have to open my eyes. And in a split second, I was not in this body, and I was m- beyond the veil, if you will, where we all come from and where we all go back to. And he was light, and I was light, and he was able to like, it was just all of the things that we feel here. It just everything vanished in a second, and you are just completely complete. There is no want or need. And he spoke to me, in my mind, but without words. And I'm just like, "Dad, is this what we are?" And he's like, yes. He's like, aren't we so beautiful? And I was just, and we were dancing, and there was this, um, it was so vast and so perfect and so complete. And I had so many questions, but I couldn't help the one that just spilled out, which was just, Dad, can I stay? I'm like, can I just stay? And in a split second, right back into my body. Um, Except this time, without the anesthesia that we all get when we, show up here, I felt myself come in. I could feel, I was like, I'm like the weight of it. I was like, my ears were ringing, and I was trying to like look around at the circle that had been ending. And it was just, it was like, it's still like the most profound, like beautiful gift I've ever.
That's such a beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you so much for allowing that feeling through while you're sharing. That's such a gift. And, I'm just feeling how much love there was in that moment. That extreme love. And I love how you said to him, "Can I stay?" Of course you did that.
Yeah,
You know,
it was like no other question. It was just, can I just, it was a visceral, like, I'm staying.
yeah. And I can completely understand him going, "No, it's not your time, girl. Back
Yeah,
you go."
yeah. And of course, afterwards, I was like, oh man, I shouldn't have asked that. I could have asked more questions. We could have hung longer, but he was like, he knew that my energy was going that way. And he's
Yeah.
like, no, 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 you have to get back in there.
Yeah, exactly. Because yes, exactly. You don't want to get kind of lost in between the two states, do you?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Because I was hitting the eject pod. I was like, okay, let's go.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was absolutely incredible. And so you would think after an experience like that, then everything is zen and magical, and I just, sit on the mountaintop, and I, just connect with source. And no, that's kind of where the title "It's Gonna Get Messy" comes from, because once or at least I was conscious of being in that state and that energy and coming back into this with no anesthesia. It's like open heart surgery, and we're just like, we're gonna keep you awake. Um, it was such a visceral shock to the system. I was upset about systems and banking. And what do you mean I have to pay rent to live on Earth? Like, who decided they own the planet? And so I was actually pretty upset that, it was a beautiful gift, and I like told everyone that I possibly could that I ran into, but I also had underneath this like angst of integration that I didn't know I was going through. I know now, but like I didn't realize it back then. A little bliss PTSD, if you will.
You can get it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
suddenly, as you say, in this dense. Would you say a little bit more about you described this reality as dense, and
Yeah.
I have my own understanding of what that means, but for the listeners who aren't necessarily familiar with using that term in relation to this reality, would you expand on that a little bit for
Yeah.
us?
Sure, sure. I mean, if you study a little bit too on quantum physics, they have theories of, 1D, 2D, 3D, up to, 12D, in terms of like, I guess dimensional levity and transcendence. But to put it, in layman's terms, um, we see like I think it's 0.33% of the electromagnetic spectrum. So these, I like to call them the meat suits, are astronaut suits. They're inherently very dense, and we can see very little of what is occurring around us. Um,
Do you mean
there's
less dense? That the stuff we don't see is less dense?
Yes, yes, yeah, less dense. And so we're able to see what we're able to perceive. But the bodies, how they function, the level of energy and vibration, it's a little bit lower. And so we feel pain the way we do, we move at the pace we do, we're able to see what we're able to see in the electromagnetic spectrum that we can. Because where I went, or where we're all from, um, there is no, you just are, you are light, you are complete. There is no, all the things that we worry about here, like none of it even comes with you. None of it, there's no remembrance. There's just the completeness of your soul and what you have done here. And even when this was one part that I didn't put in the book because I actually thought it was too much. I don't know if I ever have mentioned it on a podcast, but in an instant before, after we were like dancing, we, there's no other way to say it, but like we went to the edge of the universe. Like we went to the edge of the universe and back in a millisecond. He's like, see? And, but there was no speed. It just, the movement was instantaneous. Um, and so that is, where our souls go back to. So here it's just, everything is just more, I always struggle with like like the words like it's just more dense, in terms of what we're able to see and perceive, because there's a lot more happening around us than we're able to perceive because of sight and smell and what these vessels can.
Yeah,
Uh,
beautiful. Thank you very much. I mean, it is a very big
yeah,
question, and someone's
yeah.
probably written a PhD about it. So
I mean, yeah, sure.
it's, you know, um,
Yeah.
these things. But I also feel like when we engage with our understanding about these things, sometimes we sort of do it in stages. So
Yes.
what you've just shared there, someone's going to hear that and receive that, and then they'll hear someone else saying something else and read something, and the understanding starts to build, doesn't it, over
Yeah.
time?
It does. It does.
There's something I'm really curious about. So you had that incredible experience on the beach.
Yeah.
Not everybody would have had that experience, or not everybody would have been ready for that experience or able to have that experience. What's your understanding of how or why that happened for you at that time?
Yeah. Um, and forgive me, I'm getting over like a little bit of a cold, so I'm just gonna do
Do what you need to
little,
do.
a little meat suit maintenance.
Exactly. Physical body, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I'm like, well, physical body. Exactly. The joys and the joys and the struggles, right? And both.
Yeah.
Um, so it's interesting because when that first happened and I shared that with my mom and my brother, in particular, there was some naturally like some upset feelings, that like, why didn't he come to us? And then I feel guilty. Um, but I didn't I didn't fully understand why until later in the book, when I'm at the silent meditation retreat. And that part I don't know if I'll go too into because it's such a special, that to me is such a special moment, of remembrance.
Yeah.
Um, but what I can say is that it goes back to a soul agreement and it goes back to childhood. All this always gets me still of yeah, I'm just
You mean a soul agreement that you made when you were a child?
yes.
And then
Yeah.
because of that soul agreement you made, you were then able to receive that experience with your father.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
And I had no recollection of it. I didn't remember that moment. And it wasn't until the silent retreat, towards the end of the book where I was, which was I could write a whole I could write a whole book just on that experience. And I do give quite a bit of the book to that, of what happens during a silent retreat and the memories and the energetic clearing. Like, we control alt delete our computers and our phones, and we do all the maintenance on our systems there, but we don't do the maintenance on our own minds. And that 10-day in silence literally was able to like clear the clear the cache from my memory and do a control delete and just get those memories out and resurface them. And yeah, that's where that memory came back up to me, and I was like, it was as visceral as can be. And in that moment, I felt almost the same energetic level of when he came to me. It was very, like it was just a pure, just heart opening remembrance of, and then you look back and there's so many things. There's paintings that I did as a kid that became true once I was in Mexico. There was the treasure chest that he left. Like there's all these things of like, with the pesos, like all these things, and you realize it's like, oh, the story was always written. Um, and so I think being in Mexico, all those things I feel like happened exactly as they should. And leading up to that moment, I had the right guides offering a lot of the things we call like the awakening toolkit of a power of now, by Eckhart Tolle, and a new earth. And like I was waking back up to the things that I had forgotten. And I was in the right mindset and the right energetic place, because Baja California, Sur Mexico, is a very, very, very spiritual place where conversations about eternal life and consciousness. It's like at the grocery store, people are like, "Yep, I'm aware." It's just it's very common, a very common, I guess, topic and knowing. And so I was in the right place to just call into him with every ounce of to make that like, soul phone call to him. I was in the right energetic presence and reception and frequency to make that ask. Um and I know it's not fair because I know there's people that have lost parents that would love um that same experience, and I wish that they could, but I do know that they are with you always. Um
And maybe they can,
and
but maybe not
yeah,
today,
exactly.
because I think also sometimes people receive an experience of connecting with somebody years later, and actually not everybody would want to.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's like what you're ready for and what you're um how can I put it? What feels nourishing for you at any point in your
right.
life is not necessarily always the
Yeah,
same. Because as you
yeah,
described it, when you came back into your body, that was a shock. And then it was very difficult after that.
right,
You know,
right.
some
And
people don't want to encounter that.
right, and I will say too, a lot of, I mean, everyone receives relatives in other ways too, signs and
Yeah.
synchronicities and visitations in nature and dreams and feelings like they come in different ways how they think you need it in that moment, and it's all it's all perfect. Um, and so, but with him, there's a certain, because my dad, also for clarity, was like a three-time author. He wrote adventure fantasy for young adults. He was writing like Alan Watts-esque things back in the 70s and about timelines and dream and consciousness. And we were always watching Star Trek and like so there was always that adventurous, like he just wanted, he talked about flying in his dreams, like um that we are love and all of that. So it was his mission in many, many ways. So
Good man.
yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
would you like to share a bit more about how this has now led into you completely changing what you're doing and how you're now helping people in different ways, perhaps from how you used to before all of this happened?
Yeah. Yeah. I know it's funny because I read the book and it does feel like a separate, especially where it begins, which is so terrible and messy. It does feel like another timeline. It feels like another person. It feels like an older life. But yeah, in 2020, after, I did the corporate climb thing, the MBA thing, all the house thing and everything. Once I got to Mexico, I sold everything, and just lived with two bags, in some very, very, very simple remote places with just um, a hot plate for my kitchen and, not much else, just a bed and a room. And things got very minimalist for a while. And I really felt the lightness of that. And I really felt how much I didn't need those things to to add fulfillment. And so and I think that was 2020. A lot of 2020, 21, 22 was reintegrating, was trying to figure out what I wanted, to do. But after finishing the book, I realized a lot of like I love storytelling. I was in marketing and branding on a corporate level, working for Fortune 500 brands and all of those wonderful things. But I'm like, okay, how do I take that storytelling and what I love to do and also the spiritual side? And so a lot of what I do is help people not only leave corporate environments where they feel like they're not being fulfilled and start something of their own that feels really soulful and purposeful and like help them because there's nothing will show a mirror to yourself more than being an entrepreneur, like doing your own business because there's nobody to blame, above you or coworker, like it will test you in so many ways. And so I I kind of help people that were me, 5 or 6 years ago that are in the corporate world they realize something is very off. They realize this is not what I want to do and I have a calling and I'm ignoring it. And so I help them not only on the, the business marketing digital front, but very much on the inner transformation, connecting with their higher self and intuition, and how do you bring that into the expression to like express and bring forth what your soul is asking you to bring forth here, and express that. So it's wonderfully rewarding, and yeah, I love helping other people shine. If you really put it in like as simple as a phrase as that, like just helping other people shine, uh, makes me so happy.
Wonderful, because it wasn't that long ago where people started to have those realizations and starting to shift out, but there was no one to go to for mentorship or supporting or coaching who had actually traveled that path already. There
Right.
weren't people like you at one point, so people had to
Yeah.
just do it themselves, and it can be brutal. I mean, I've had clients who've been going through that, but I'd never been a deeply corporate person. So I'd not
Right.
had that same, I'm moving out of full-time corporate executiveship role and
Right.
then into something that had never been me. I'd always been in the alternative field right from the year dot. So I don't have that, what you've got of that experience of leaving that and moving on and reinventing in the way that you have. And I think that's incredibly valuable for someone who's in that place.
Yeah. Yeah. And the more that I've moved through it myself and help other people move through it, like the entire like first part of what we move through is there's no other way to say it, but like the deprogramming that has to happen because there's so much that shows up in how you think, act, ask for permission, permission to show up, self-worth, like all these things that are tied up into a system that you're really hopping out of. And that takes some inner work before you can really ground within yourself and then are able to, succeed on the entrepreneurial front. So it's like business and therapy kind of all in one, you know?
Beautiful. Well, lucky people finding you.
Yeah.
So,
Aw.
when people come to you, do people have, is there sort of common phrases or sentences people use when they're coming to you to ask for your help and to tell you where they are?
I mean, I would say burnt out is always, I'm burnt out, I'm fried, I'm over it, I just can't. Is, like I just cannot anymore. And I'm like, yes, I'm like, come in here, let me get you a cookie and a tea. It's okay.
Brilliant.
Yeah, because I mean, like what we have achieved, as a society is lovely, and we do have to have foundations and structure and all of those things. But we always say like we're human beings, not human doings. And so many of it's like there's so many of us who like have to ask for permission, like, oh, I'm not doing enough. Can I just relax? We do nothing and we feel guilt, we feel shame over it. And it just it's so messed up, it's so messed up how we're programmed to produce. And so that's a whole part of it too, is like, I just want to rest.
Brilliant. Well, I think
Yeah,
that's wonderful what you're doing, and thank you for doing it because I think there are more and more people who need that. And
absolutely.
you've had a whole unique series of experiences that you've really boldly, first of all, experienced and kept following that path. And
Yeah.
then you've written the book, and now you've got the audio. So if you send me the link for where people can order the book, I will put it in the show notes along with
Oh,
the web address so that people can actually go and check that out. And it is such a beautiful book. So it's
oh,
going to get messy, everybody. So, I mean,
yes.
anyone who's ever created anything or grown in any way knows about that messiness, that does happen. You know,
Yes.
but one thing I
Yeah.
love about you and in your book as well is the way you come through it with this lovely humorous openness and appreciation. You know, you
Yeah.
don't go dramatic about any of it. And
Yeah.
that's so refreshing.
Oh, thank you so much. Because that was part of it, is I just wanted to be, I wanted it to be true, and I wanted it to be, I had to rewrite it quite a few times to get to a point where it felt true and resonant, but also we always are so, humans, we're taught to hide our mess, right? We're taught to hide it, don't let anybody see it, quick pick it, I spilled, pick it up, don't worry about it. And it's like, no, that's like where connection and authenticity lives. And the more that we share our mess, the more that we're connected. So,
Amazing.
yeah.
So let me just change the tack slightly. So um, there's a lot of amazing people in the world now who are, they might be leaders, they might be practitioners, they might be entrepreneurs, they might be in corporate, they might be in spirituality, who are out there following their calling, doing their best to help people, doing their best to be part of the solution. And
Yeah.
some of those people are listening to us talking, right? Is there
Yeah.
something you'd like to say to those people?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just like beautiful, like keep going, keep expressing, like keep doing what lights you up. And I think those are the ones that are following their soul calling, you know? And also, just to be clear, soul calling can also be baking like the absolute best loaf of bread that's ever existed on the planet. Like it's whatever you feel called to do to share and nourish other people. And so, no, those people, I just think, it's just absolutely beautiful, and keep growing and keep expressing and keep shining and keep lifting up those around you. And by doing so, if anyone's ever read Power versus Force, like you're lifting up everyone else as well. We're all interconnected in that way. And so, thank you. Thank you for doing what you do, is what I want to say.
Beautiful. Namaste to that.
Oh,
Fantastic.
that.
We've talked about a lot today and it's been so fun. And I could honestly talk to you for hours. And I do recommend everybody read the book. It's going to get messy. And
Mm.
check out Becca's website, beccaeveyoung.com. So we talked about a lot today. Has there been a favorite part of our conversation for you today?
Uh, Um, favorite part. I honestly could talk to you forever as well. I absolutely just I love I this is my favorite part, is just connecting with someone else, in like this way, in this little our little sacred space, in this little moment in life and time. And your energy is just so beautiful and curious and welcoming, and I can feel that. And um I just hope that helps people who are listening as well, just connect and feel uplifted. So I just appreciate you and the space that you create. It's really beautiful, and I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you saying that. And of course, it wouldn't be possible if we weren't doing this together. So,
Oh, it's true.
and so, yeah, everybody listening, whenever you have an opportunity to drop into that warm, curious, welcome, I love those words,
Yeah.
space, or to create that for somebody or invite someone into that, or someone's inviting you into that, do it, follow it, because I can feel, having had this conversation with you, the resonance of that will stay with me
Yeah.
in my body. It's not just the moment of the conversation, it's then the resonance that carries on. And so everybody watching and listening, you already do that in your life. Honor that and keep doing it. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's true. That moment never leaves. Like it's always with you. It never goes. So,
Beautiful.
um, yeah.
So everybody check out Becca at beccaeveyoung.com. Get the book. It's going to get messy. And I actually do also, like Becca, work with people who have a calling. And I tend to work with people who've been following their calling for a while and they want to step deeper into it. So if you're one of those people, if you're a spirit-led conscious leader or practitioner, you can find a link to book a clarity call with me in the show notes. So check out Becca's work, check out my work. Have a fantastic, magical week. And I'll see you next time. And thank you so much, Becca Eve Young.
Thank you.